Hey, what's good everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Alckemy. Today you and I are going to be figuring out how to make the ever elusive clap on the Digitone 2. Now, I was going to do a whole series to where I was just going to show you how to make a kick, snare, percussion, all that stuff, but the clap took me so freaking long to figure out that I'm not even going to be doing this from scratch just because it's a lot. But I will be showing you everything step by step and how to get there. It's just that the tuning of this is so fine that if you don't get everything just right, then it doesn't really sound convincing at all. And on theory, you would think that like, oh, all you need to do is just create multiple transients and then, just a white noise layer and then, a bandpass and all that stuff, right? No, not on this. This thing is complicated and I'm going to show you why. So this is what we're working with. Yay, we did it. We made a clap sound. And I'm going to kind of just break this down with how the patch structure works. So that way you can kind of start to try to get closer and we'll look at the anatomy of this. So for one thing that I have on here are two layers. And so the one thing that I'm going to back up and do is I'm going to go to track layering. And if you didn't know this, you can do this. It's where you can layer these off and on together. And I'm just going to play what this sounds like by itself. And together it's... Let me make this a little bit louder. And so the first part of this, the way that you have to get this, you can use any noise layer, and it would be a lot easier if there was a way to create just pure white noise out of the FM tones, which is part of the reason why I want them to update the engine. I know that it's never going to happen. I know, whatever, but it would just help me out so much. Is you need to figure out a way to get multiple transients through this. And so one option that you can try to no avail is to try to do maybe like a rate and then set a really fast thing while you're layering that, whatever. I wouldn't recommend that. You can do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. What I would do instead is come back to the synth, to the noise level. Give yourself just a little bit of level here on the FM drum. Come into this, and what we need to use are these three LFOs in order to create these offsets here with this. And so what I've essentially done was put all of these to the synth level here, and each one has an offset of the phase little by little. So the first one, I think the phase is where it needs to be. So we could actually even set that to 0. And if we go here, I can just turn this off and show you what this sounds like. So we'll go like this, we'll go like this. And so the first one here is just this. Then what we did is we added a second one here, and we changed that into a little bit of the phase offset on the other exponential one. And so that's going to create a double smear, which arguably you could already use that anyways. But for good measure, we've got a third one here, and we've offset that just a little bit as well. And this one is on a 32 BPM, this one's on a 16, and this one's on a 32. It's just what seemed to have worked out. I don't know. Give it a try. And one more thing is make sure that all of these are on the trigger mode here. And so once you have that, then you get this. And that is honestly like really difficult to actually make on its own with just the engines that you have, unless if you do track layering. You can also turn this all the way down. You get a slightly different sound. I wouldn't recommend using the transient because this just changes it into a snare. That one's okay, I guess. And I even tried to experiment with setting the transient as the layer and then move everything else off. But again, that just makes it sound like, like it's a snare. And so this is probably the best that we're going to get from this. If you want to give it a little bit of space, you can give it some chorus. But I feel like it pulls away from the transient. Another thing is the way that I got it to be the volume is, for one, lots of distortion. 2, lots of master distortion, and then turn the tracks all the way up. Everything, that's kind of what I do. I'm not using any compression. We can experiment with that if you want. So we can go low thresholds, long attack, long release, something kind of like that. But to be honest with you, I don't you really even feel like it's worth it, I would just keep it as it is. For the most part with drums, I know that you would think, oh, you got a compressor, you can make these slap really hard, right? No, not necessarily. And for the most part, whenever I make drums on here, I don't use the compressor. You can, I don't. I think that that's kind of fine on its own. So yeah, some other things on here is that we have a filter that has a bandpass and quite a bit of resonance, but we've also just barely leaking in some of the high end, so that way we get some of the smack on top. And something that you can experiment with is even a little bit of volume envelope, or sorry, filter envelope on this, to where if you don't have this, this just kind of helps to give it a little bit more of the mid-high energy that we're kind of looking for. But once you understand this, then when we go back and we go sync filter to setup, we go track layering and we layer this to 10, that's where we can add another white noise layer that helps give it the smear, which is just this. And so on the amp here, we have that. You can also do this if you want. And that's how you can give yourself the kind of like cool clap that, you know, will give you the more variations and whatnot. You really only need three envelopes in order to do that. But if you really want to stack them and create like really sloppy claps or whatever, then you can also, you know, do the same application to this as well. So if we go here on this one, what I did was I went to the exponential, then we go to the noise level, kind of like so. We go yes, turn that all the way up, set this to trigger on a single, and then you just need to experiment with this. So because on this, if you set this to be really fast, then you're going to have to go into this and turn this down first. And we only really want one on here, so that's kind of why I'm doing that, but and then from this, within this here, we can start to shape different noise textures and stuff, right? So we can set this to a different type of noise. We can come back here and try a different character. Right, we can try noise 2. To me, that doesn't sound any different. We can try grain noise, which is what I usually do. Then we can also play with another envelope here. Though I personally like to offset everything if possible. Just because I want to try to make the differentiation of the snare, or sorry, the clap hits very prominent, so you can hear like the roll, the offset of everything. If you just want like a white noise thing, you don't need to do any of this. But you could arguably also just use one white noise transient and then an offset of this to kind of create a different type of clap. But I don't know, for me, my favorite things are the ones that are like clap, right? So anyways, that's pretty much how you make this. It's kind of annoying to set up, but there are actually like no clap presets on here, and I was a little bit shocked to figure that out, or to find that. One other thing that I think that I'll leave you with is that if you have the space for it, like let's say you're just doing like, I guess you could do that too if you wanted to, but you know, something like this, then, and you want it to be louder, one thing that you can do is also try to play with unison in order to get some stereo spread. So we can do something like this. Obviously, that becomes really obnoxious past a certain point. But yeah, that's something that you can do to get a little bit more wider if you want, or add the chorus, or add your reverb or anything of the sort. Or something else that you could do is we can come back into this, make this a lot shorter. But we can add reverb to this one. That's something that you can do. We can remove the bit crushing. Change this, the sample rate. Oops. And from there, you can get into a little bit more options of kind of how to shape this a little bit further, right? But for me, I think that just kind of leaving everything vanilla is the way to go. And just taking all that and leaving it off. So anyways, that's how you make claps inside of the Digitone. We'll be covering kicks, snares, and percussion, probably all as one video. We'll do like a super roundup or something. And yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you like my sounds, you can check them out at alchemy.com. Would anybody be interested in a Digitone pack from me? I don't know who my target audience, or I don't know who my audience is and who's actually watching these, you know, hardware videos, but I do them because I like doing them, and I've covered everything software pretty much to death. So thanks everybody. I'll catch you in the next one.